What it did it was X2C. We missed the motherfucking Jones. We got another Jones. You know what I'm saying? I just seen it. I just seen it on my motherfucker recommended. And it's like I got a five disturbing movies, and it looked like it had the that one movie that I can't remember right now. And I'm sorry. Fuck. Let's go. I didn't know you until like fucking 15 minutes ago, but nigga, you got some shit, bro.
Welcome back to Disturbing Fives. Before we begin, I'd like to tell you about this awesome new app called Horror Amino. It's a social network that caters exclusively to horror fans. If you're a fan of scary movies, creepypastas, or horror in general, then this is definitely the app for you. It's completely free and is packed with chat
See, I'm trying to show off my grill for no fucking reason.
boxes where you can meet fellow horror fans, polls you can vote on, and challenges from creators and fans alike. You can follow me on the app over at DeBurk321 where I've set up a poll with 5 different video possibilities. Make sure to go over and vote because the most voted idea will be made in the next week. All the links are in the description and I hope to see you over there. But without further ado, let's get into this week's edition of Disturbing Fives. While most of us watch movies to experience a different story or world, some of those experiences are pretty messed up. In the past, there have been some creepy, controversial, or straight up disturbing feature films that have been made, and it's warranted certain countries to completely ban them from circulation. For that reason,
This looks familiar. This looks like some bullshit my pops made me watch. I mean, like, my pops is like the finder of bullshit ass horror, fucked up, ass movies, bruh.
I've decided to compile a list of just that. So sit back, relax, grab a Tic Tac, and join me for 5 disturbing movies you are banned from watching.
Why do I need a Tic Tac? Saying my breath stink, bruh?
Number 1 is Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust was a movie made
Yeah, this is some shit. Yeah, this nigga had this back in like 2012, 11, something like that. Yeah.
in 1980 that was directed by Ruggero Deodato. The tagline of the film's poster says it all, as it labels itself as the most controversial movie ever made. And to be honest, it's not that far off. The synopsis of the film centers around a professor who finds lost footage from a documentary crew. The crew spends time in the Amazon forest and meets a tribe of cannibals. It features extremely realistic depictions of murder that left some of the viewers to believe it was actually real. Not only this, but one scene features members of the documentary crew partaking in cannibalism that also left some people to believe that they use real human remains. Of course, these speculations weren't actually true, but the violence and graphic content of the film and their inclusion of on-screen rape, nudity, and animal abuse was enough to get it banned in a handful of countries, including Australia, Malaysia, and Iceland. While the film does have countless disturbing themes, its use of practical effects were very ahead of its time, and its concept was deemed to be very original, making it a respected but controversial piece of cinema. Number 2 is I Spit on Your Grave. I Spit
Hey, back in the day, we used to have this shit on VHS, so you know what I'm saying?
on Your Grave was directed in 1978, and it received a massive amount of controversy after its release. The film focuses on the main character Jennifer, who goes on a cabin retreat in order to work on her novel. However, she is noticed by some local men who track her down and torture her. They beat her, rape her, and ultimately intend to kill her. This sequence of disturbing scenes goes on for around 30 minutes of the movie before she eventually escapes. That isn't where the film ends, however, as the rest of the film focuses on Jennifer extracting her revenge. She does this by tracking them down and killing them individually. While the movie was controversial enough, a remake
Okay, and by the way, I am 25 now, so when we had VHSs, I was very young boy. I don't remember none of this shit. The fuck?
was made in 2010 that was just as gory and disturbing. And since then, 2 more have been made, each trying to top the shock value of the previous entries. Number 3 is a Serbian film. A Serbian film is a drama and horror of sorts made in 2010 that has by far one of the most disturbing descriptions of all time. The entire synopsis is, and I quote here, "An aging porn star agrees to participate in an art film in order to make a clean break from the business, only to discover that he has been drafted into making a pedophilia and necrophilia themed snuff film." Jesus Christ. So obviously with a synopsis like that, we're getting into some seriously depraved shit. The film focuses on the main character who is forced to commit a series of disturbing crimes or else be killed. The director, if you could even call him that, films these activities taking place in order to capture his messed up idea of art. It was shot down by critics after its release for being needlessly disturbing. The themes of pedophilia and necrophilia got the movie banned in 4 countries, including Norway, where it was completely outlawed as it violated the sexual representation of children law. It was also banned in Spain, New Zealand and Brazil for similar reasons. Number 4 is Salo, or the 100...
Holy shit, fuck balls, man, dude, whoa. Oh shit. Oh dude. Whoa, what in the fuck, bruh? I can't get jiggy with this shit, bro. Like, I don't even know what to say. I need a little bit more weed, bro. Because I know it's not done. You're not done, are you? You're not done. This is only 4. Ain't this a bitch?
120 Days of Sodom. This film was directed in 1975 by one of the most controversial directors of all time, Pier Paolo Pasolini. Pasolini was murdered the same year he created this piece, and many people believe it may have been because he made it in the first place, as this movie is arguably his most shocking and controversial body of work. The film is set in 1944 in the
Oh my god, oh my shit fucking balls. Pops, this is where you got this bullshit from. Oh my goodness, oh my god, he made us watch this. He made us.
Nazi-controlled Italian state of Salo. It centers around 4 men who round up 9 young boys and girls and conduct an experiment where they are subjected to 120 days of physical, mental, and sexual abuse. It was banned from Australia, Iran, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka for realistic depictions of violence and sexual assault. While it was an incredibly controversial movie, it was considered to be a realistic depiction of experimental violence around the time of Nazi rule. Number 5 is The Human Centipede.
Pops, I'm sending this to you. It's some bullshit. Oh my god.
2. Oh boy, here we go. While the first Human Centipede, made in 2009, was pretty creepy and disturbing, director and writer Tom...
The fucked up thing is I've watched 3 out of 5 of these movies. I'm not okay with my life.
Tom 6, weird name by the way, came back 2 years later with an even weirder movie and actually managed to have it banned in a couple of countries. The idea behind the Human Centipede is just that. Some kind of weird experiment where a messed up scientist tries to create his fantasy being a literal human centipede. I'm not going to go into details as to what that is, but I'm sure you can hazard a guess. The second film...
Oh my goodness, this shit is like flashbacks.
Takes the same approach. However, in the first sequence, the scientist uses 3 tourists for the experiment, whilst in the second one, they take it up a notch and use 12 people for the experiment. The film was banned in New Zealand and Australia for disturbing sexual content. A third film was somehow made.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got past halfway in some of these films, I'm not even gonna lie. Cause I don't remember him doing some weird, like he was doing with his face right there, and I was done with it. It was fucking too freaky, man.
Where they boosted that number from 12 to 500. Are you serious? That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button.